Hey, Aliana here, and in today's video, I want to talk about time. Why you feel like you never have enough time to build or scale your business, and how you can find the time and make the time and work around time limitations, even if you really truly don't have the time. Because I'm not going to sit here and tell you we all have 24 hours in a day or anything like that, because the truth is, yes, we all do, but the truth is sometimes people go through real life limitation. Like I've seen people with extreme cases where people have a newborn and a family member who is sick, or maybe you still have a full-time job as you're building your business, which is not so extreme, it's actually very common. Or also another common scenario is being too busy working in the business rather than on the business. So a lot of times people are busy for reasons that are, I want to say it's a choice. Yes, it is a choice, but it's not really much of a choice when the choice is painful, right? It's still a choice, but it doesn't feel that way. And it doesn't help to say to the person that you choose that. It's like, yeah, what do you want me to do? Not take care of my child? Or do you want me to drop my source of income? Or do you want me to drop my clients because I got to work on those things? Like, I can't do that. I can't delegate it. I don't have those resources right now. What do I do? Okay. So I'm a believer that you can achieve whatever you want, no matter how little time you have. Now, there's no denying that it's going to be more challenging, but you can do it. I've seen someone work only 30 minutes a day on her business. She was starting it from scratch, and within 4 months, she reached her first 6 figures. I also have seen someone who had all the resources, all the time. The situation she was in is she was taken care of financially. She didn't need to worry about making the business profitable. She had all the resources, and yet after 1 year of spinning her wheels, doing everything, being busy, working 8 hours and 12 hours a day, actually not 8, 12, 16-hour days, she was nowhere. She hadn't made any progress by that point. So it's not about how much time you spend on the thing. It's about the output. It's about the quality of what you create within that limited amount of time. The key takeaway that you're going to get at the end of this video, which is it's actually not about time. It's not about time. It's not about how much time you have. It's about what do you do with that time and what is your energetic output during that time. Of course, having more time can be very helpful, but it is mostly about your energetic output, or what are you able to achieve in that amount of time. So what is this energetic output and how do we improve it? Your output is defined by the quality of the energy, meaning what are you focused on, as well as the intensity of your focus. Okay, so are you narrowly focused on the thing that you are creating, or are you spread too thin? Are you multitasking, doing multiple things? So for example, in the example that I talked about before, this person who spent only 30 minutes a day working on her business, she was focused on the right things. She knew that her first goal was to get her first client. So she focused on that. That may or may not be the case for you. Maybe the case for you is that you already have a well-established business and your goal is different. But the point is, keep your eyes on the goal, the actual goal. It starts with clarity, and I cannot stress this enough, because when you're not clear on what it is that you're trying to achieve, your mind can sort of make the goal bigger and more complicated than it needs to be. And so it starts to tell you, for example, that if you want to have a successful business, you need 100 trillion followers, and you need to have a podcast, and you need to have this, and you need to do this. And you start to have a list of to-do items that it's not really the time for those things. Like in the example of the person that I mentioned who had 12, 16-hour days for a whole year, the problem is that she had too much time, not enough limitations. So this is the kind of the mindset shift I want you to take here, is that this is actually good for you. This could be a benefit if you see it this way, because when your time is limited, so to speak, you can actually choose to focus on the main thing, instead of having a menu of unlimited marketing initiatives that you can start. So again, to recap this point, it is not about how much time you have. It's about the quality of your energy during the time. and the focus and the attention that you're putting on the thing. So make sure that you are focused on the right thing, and make sure that you are only focused on that one thing for that period of time. The second thing I want to talk to you about today is healing our relationship with time. This is so important. This is where people get caught up in the everybody has 24 hours a day, and also you don't understand, my life is so tough. And I can see both sides of this conversation because both of them are true. Okay. The truth is, yes, sometimes things are going on in our lives and we simply don't have the time. And yes, it is a choice. And yes, we all have 24 hours a day, but the choice is not, it's a choice, but it's very hard to see it and practice it as a choice. When, for example, you have got to take care of a newborn, or you have got to take care of a sick family member, or you have bills to pay, or your business is really chaotic. You've built a kind of a monster for yourself and kind of like a new 9-to-5 in your own business, and you're trapped in it. Of course, it's a choice. Of course, you can drop certain things. Of course. But at the end of the day, you know that the repercussions of those choices are so not what you want that it's not much of a choice, really. And getting stuck in this and arguing against your own mind is not going to take you anywhere. I advise you to just acknowledge that, yes, this feels stinky right now. I feel very limited in my time. I wish I had more time. Yes, it is a choice, but it's not much of a choice. But also, I am not completely doomed, and I'm not a victim to this. And this is where it matters to see time for what it is. I had this mantra in one of the ceremonies that there is an infinite amount of time in the present moment. And that really sat with me because I used to grapple with this idea of time, there's not enough time, and I knew that that wasn't very healthy, because just in the same way people like to talk about money mindset or scarcity mindset or abundance mindset, there's also time scarcity mindset or time abundance mindset, and seeing time for the abundance that it is. But I was struggling with this idea. But then during the ceremony, I got this message that there is an infinite amount of time in the present moment. And that helped me see the abundance of time in the present moment. When you take a step back and come back to this present moment, there is more than enough time now. It's infinite, right? That's how much time there is. It's infinite. So it's not saying that I don't have the time that's problematic. Sometimes you just have to jump on a call in 5 minutes and you don't have the time to have a long conversation. It's a fact. I don't have the time for XYZ right now. But it's the I don't have time that's problematic. It's the feeling of time being this scarce commodity, time being this elusive thing that I've got to control, I've got to take hold of it, I never have enough of it, I don't have time. It's the emotion of scarcity of time that's problematic, not the concept or the awareness that I do not have enough time unless I drop this other thing that's very important, right? That's what we mean when we say I don't have time, right? So that is okay, that's a statement, that's a fact. But I want you to be aware of the times when you say, I don't have time, with that energy of lack, that energy of scarcity. We have got to heal our relationship with time, and we've got to stop seeing time as the enemy. When you are present and calm and peaceful, your perception of time and what you can do with time, how much it can change. And this goes back to the point I talked about before, which is the energetic output. 1 minute of you being very calm and centered and working methodically with focus on the thing that you're working on, and you're clear and you're calm and you're peaceful and you're just doing it and you're doing the best you can in 1 minute is a lot more effective than 30 minutes or an hour of you being frazzled and running around being like, what am I doing again? You know the feeling, right? And so come back to the present moment. That will change your experience of time, and you'll be surprised how much more you can achieve in 1 minute from that energy. The third thing I want to talk about today is specifically to give you some tactical or applicable, practical advice as to how do you approach this right now. If you are in that place in your life where you really feel like you don't have the time, but you so desperately want to build something for yourself or grow something for yourself. But the fact is, You've eliminated everything that was a distraction. You've eliminated everything that is fluffy in your day, and you still are left with very little time to build your business. Take a step back and look at it this way. There are three components to making the best of your time, the best use of your time. The first one is clarity. The second one is leverage. And the third one is improving processes. So I'm going to try to break those down as quickly as I can and as simply as I can without making it overly simplistic. The first one is about clarity. And this is the most important part of really using your energy properly during the time, no matter how little time it feels like you have. Clarity about, first of all, what is it that I'm trying to achieve? Again, going back to the point I covered in point one, what am I trying to do? Really, what is the actual goal? Not what I think I should do, but what do I want to achieve? Okay, what do I want to achieve? Clarity starts about the goal. And there's also clarity about the path to the goal. So that means what's the way that I'm going to choose? Like, what's the overall plan or strategy, if you will? Here, it does not matter which strategy you choose because most strategies work. What matters is that you believe in it. What matters is that you feel that this is something you can stick to and this is something you believe in and you feel internally clear. You don't have a lot of resistance to the idea of following this path. So that's another component of clarity. Clarity also includes what are the actions specifically that I'm going to take. So 1 to 3 actions that I can take. Again, depending on how much time you have, if you only have 30 minutes, it's likely going to be one small action. Maybe it's going to be connecting with one person per day, or it depends, right? It depends on what you're trying to achieve. It depends on many factors, but you have to have clarity about the action that's going to be taken, that's going to achieve this strategy, which is going to achieve this goal. Then you also have clarity internally, that is mental and emotional clarity. You have to be clear that again, you have no resistance to the path. So going back to the example of the person who built her 6-figure business in 4 months, 30 minutes of work per day. Unfortunately, she didn't have the time to work first thing in the morning. She could only do it in the evening after work. So she was already tired, exhausted by the end of the day. And those 30 minutes, what she did is she went and she served. She went to specific places online, specific groups where she knew that she could find the people that she wanted to talk to. And yes, some people are going to say like to you, hey, this strategy is outdated. It worked in 2015. It doesn't work anymore. It worked in 2020. It doesn't. Don't listen to these people, okay? Don't listen to anyone. The truth is, again, principles work regardless of time. They work at all times. They're principles. Serving people and coming from a good kind of energy where you're giving to someone and you're making impact on somebody, it works in the year 2000, it works in the year 2023, it will work in the year 5 trillion. This is just human psychology, human behavior. This is how we are wired as humanity. When somebody is genuinely helpful towards us, we like them, we trust them, they help us achieve some sort of change, they give us a good piece of advice, we are more likely to trust that person, to go back to that person and work with them officially. So this is an example of something that works, and it doesn't matter if you do it Facebook groups, you go to LinkedIn, you go to YouTube, I don't care, okay? It does not matter. Again, it's about how do you feel? What do you believe in? Where can you see yourself spending your time and your energy? Again, this is a lot of it is a process of self-knowing. That then, if she got clear, this is the action. So what is my action every day? Every day I'm going to wake up, I'm going to go to these 3 groups, for example, or 3 places on social media, and I'm going to connect with the right people, and I'm going to help, I'm going to serve in any way I can, and I'm going to invite them to book a call with me or whatever it is, right? And then clarity internally about the emotions. Oh, I have blocks around DMing people. I don't want to make people feel uncomfortable. Okay, great. Let's address that. Let's not do that. That doesn't feel right. You're right. It's not. It makes the other person uncomfortable. It makes you feel like you're being intrusive and uncomfortable. You don't want to be calculating and manipulative and pretend that you care about someone when you really don't, and you're just trying to get them on the call. So how can we resolve that so that your energy is squeaky clean when you're doing this action? Because it matters. It matters tremendously what your intention is and how you feel as you're doing the action. So all of this goes under the umbrella of clarity. The second thing I want to talk about is leverage. And leverage can be defined as simply as working smart, right? That's what people call to work smart. It's really all the ways that you can use something to its maximum benefit, but without abusing it. And this is very important because a lot of times entrepreneurs, business people, creators, they learn how to leverage, and then they start to become predatory towards the different components of their own ecosystem. So for example, they learn that they can leverage their team members, and then they hurt their team members and they make them work a little too much or take advantage of them too much until that person stops producing as well or quits altogether, and then you hurt yourself even more. You can see in this example how when you are, when your ecosystem is not balanced, some parts of it are going to be harmed, then that harm is going to touch you eventually, whether you like it or not. So leverage, but only up to a certain point. Leverage without creating imbalance in your system. So what is leverage? You're using something to lift something that's heavy. You're using some help so that it doesn't feel as heavy anymore. So in this example, creating a whole month of content, how am I doing that? How I'm doing that is I start with one idea, and that's the idea that's going to be the core of the newsletter / long form video like this one. And then from this, I take main points and I make shorts, and then I have them transcribed into text posts, which then goes on LinkedIn, which then goes on this place and that place. And then I have like a whole month. Most people would say, well, I don't have the time to do this. I only have 30 minutes a day. Well, but you have a couple of hours on the weekend. You could probably do that during the weekend. Or, again, it's all about finding ways to work smart instead of, working really, really hard. That's really the simplest way that I can explain the concept of leverage. And this is something you have to apply at every stage in your business. So it doesn't matter if you're just starting out or you're growing. In fact, you probably couldn't grow. And if you grew, you would stall and you would reach a certain plateau unless you learn how to keep leveraging. Which brings me to my third point, which is really important when you feel like time is limited. And that point is improving processes, improving your systems. I'm not inventing anything here. This is just looking at nature. Nature is constantly improving its systems and processes. It tries to automate the most important tasks, and not only to make sure that they get done, which by the way, we should learn something in our businesses, like remove friction from anything that needs to be done by automating it, but also automating something makes it easier, faster. It saves energy. It saves us energy. So we don't have to think about it if we want to walk and chew some gum at the same time. We don't need to use our brains and think really hard about these two tasks. It's automated, right? There's a process for it and it's automated. So improving our processes means that as we keep doing these things, as we keep, for example, doing the example that I used before, the process of creating content or the process of doing outreach or connecting with people, we keep improving the way that we're doing it so that it takes less energy. So that something that would normally take 30 minutes now takes 15 minutes. You want to save time, yes, you want to save energy, but you want to respect how much time and energy it actually takes for something to happen. There is a limit, okay? There is a limit to this. The limit is not something that's always clear. An example is if you plant a seed and you say, okay, I'm going to do whatever I can to the environment to help the seed grow, to help it grow as quickly as possible, as strong as possible, as healthy as possible. That's amazing. That's great. You're doing whatever you can about the environment. However, the seed has within it the time. There is a certain time that it takes for this essence to blossom, for it to become all that it could be, its fullest self-expression. And it is crucial that you have the patience and the willingness, the humility, the respect towards what it takes really for something to happen. Sometimes it's just gonna take some time, and we have to make peace with that. And this is crucial. Lacking patience and understanding around time is what drives people to do things like trying to get a client to be, or potential client to be ready for working with us faster and sooner than they need to, right? Not having trust that they need more time for their unfolding, right? They're not there yet and they need the time. So leave them alone and let them do their own thing. And in the same way, like the seed example, like leave it alone. You've done your part, leave it the heck alone, and know that there is a co-creating part that is not under your control, and you have to be able to surrender to that. People usually don't have patience about the things that are outside their control because they haven't taken care of the things that are within their control. So if you're not doing your part, then you're like, but why isn't the universe doing its part? But it's like, if you were busy doing your part and knowing that you're doing your part, then you wouldn't worry so much about the things that are outside your control. But because you are avoiding the things that are within your control, then your focus is on all the things that you feel like you cannot control. So to recap this video, one of the biggest obstacles that people feel, especially in the beginning stages of their business, so when they first start and in the first few years of building their business, is they feel like they don't have enough time. They don't have enough time to start the business. They don't have enough time to scale the business. They're trapped in this new kind of hamster wheel in the business. And sometimes it can feel like you've just created a second 9-to-5 for yourself. And sometimes things happen in our lives. Maybe you have a newborn, congratulations, or maybe you have a full-time job as you're building your business, or you're just really busy in your business rather than working on your business. So the point is, sometimes you really don't have the time to do the stuff that you want to do, or you feel that you don't have the time because your time really is limited. And in those cases, it's important to remember the 3 things we talked about today. First and foremost, that it is not about how much time you have. It's not about how much time you spend on it. It's about the energetic output that you have within that time. And that energetic output is defined by the quality of the energy and how focused your attention is. The second point we talked about is the importance of healing your relationship to time, to stop seeing time as the enemy or as this scarce commodity. Sometimes, yes, you don't have the time and you say, well, I don't have the time for that because I have other obligations. But beware of those times that you say, I don't have time, with a feeling of scarcity, with a feeling of desperation. Remember the mantra, there is an infinite amount of time in the present moment. And lastly, the third point we talked about is around the 3 keys to making the most of the time that you have, no matter how limited it feels. And those 3 keys are clarity, and that is clarity about everything from the end goal to what it takes to get there, and to how you feel mentally, emotionally, energetically, so that you have a clear path. Clarity. The second point is leverage, working smart. How do you make the most of what you already have? Looking at the resources you already have, thinking about what do you got instead of always feeling like you don't have enough, because that scarcity, the scarcity mindset in your time is probably leaking. It's scarcity of time, it's scarcity of money, it's scarcity of resources, it's scarcity of self-love. Scarcity, period, is just happening to manifest in your time right now. And then the third point we talked about is improving processes. And we looked at nature as an example. So nature is great at automating things and constantly improving and getting better, not because it's hustling and trying to save time, but because it's trying to save energy. And remember this very important key point to keep in mind, that you can do what you can do within your control, but there's always going to be a component that's outside your control. You have to surrender to it. Remember the example of the seed. You can do the most you can with the environment. You can give it the best chances it's got, but you have to respect the time that it takes for the seed to unfold into its fullest self-expression. With that, we've reached the end of this video. Thank you for watching. My name is Eliana Kali. I am founder at Brands Are Alive. We make a video like this every week, so if you're interested in these kind of videos, make sure to subscribe at brandsarealive.com/newsletters. We help conscious creators like you build brands of full self-expression and a business that makes you feel alive. I'll talk to you next week.